Can this book deliver a miracle? Let's explore and find out. So the book that we're looking at today is Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod. It's a book that I picked up probably about 4 years ago, and I tried it for a while and I had some success with it actually. Probably about 18 months I was doing the Miracle Morning to some level or another, and I was fit, I was eating well, I felt great, my mind was clear, I was a really good version of myself. Then I twisted my ankle, snapped a couple of ligaments and couldn't run, and my willingness to do the Miracle Morning process stopped. And it didn't stop because of my injury. I just used the injury as an excuse to stop it, because my why didn't end up being strong enough. My why had changed over time. My initial why when I started the journey with it 4 years ago was an external one. I was trying to achieve something externally, and when that didn't come to pass, then my motivation to keep going down that path, to keep putting in that effort, to keep consistent with it, dropped away. So I've had both some success and some failure with this book and with its concepts, but I think that puts me in really good stead. Let's talk about it and let's see if it's something that might be able to help you. Okay, so what's the book about? Pretty much, in really simple terms, the book is about giving you a simple, easy recipe to put some time into yourself every day to improve yourself. So it's saying that our lives are crazy busy and we always seem to put ourselves last. So instead of putting ourselves last, why don't we put ourselves first? So when you get up first thing in the morning, how the author is suggesting there's 6 things that we can do. So get up, whatever time we normally get up. Let's say we normally get up at 7 o'clock. And we've got a busy day, so we're up straight away and we're getting ready for work and we're out the door, or we have to sort out the kids, or we have to help our partner, or whatever it might be. There's always something happening. So we get up and we're straight into it. Boom. What the Miracle Morning is saying is, let's take some time. Okay, all of these things might still have to happen when they happen. So let's take some time before all that begins. So instead of our hypothetical 7 o'clock start, let's make it a 6 a.m. start. Now, you're already thinking what I was probably thinking, holy shit, I don't get enough sleep as it is. There's no way this is gonna fucking work. But let's just get through the system. Al's got a few ideas on how you can get better quality sleep, so you can use that initial hour to your advantage and want to actually do it, not feel like you have to. So there's some cool stuff that might work for you as we go through. The functionality, the way that it operates, so aside from the getting up an hour earlier, there's a concept that Hal goes through, which is basically SAVERS is the acronym that he uses. So there's 6 elements that are ideal to bring into your morning, which are going to help increase various parts of your life. Those 6 elements are designed to increase different aspects of your life. So the physical, the intellectual, the emotional, and the spiritual. And those SAVERS, they're an acronym, and when you pull them out, what they are is silence, or meditation, affirmations, visualization, exercise, reading, and scribing or writing. He's obviously used scribing because he likes the SAVERS concept, which I can get behind. It's nice and easy to remember. And the basic version is you take 10 minutes for each of those elements every morning, and you will watch all sorts of areas of your life improve. So the concept is super simple. Get up a little bit earlier, do a few things for yourself, and stay consistent about it, and watch growth happen in your life. Watch change and adaptation happen in your life in the way that you want it to. So pretty cool. Okay, so in the book, Hal suggests that he's not the best writer. Now, I'm not going to critique his writing style on a, could it have been better or worse scenario, but I actually found the book really engaging, really accessible, easy to read, and inspiring. The way he delivers it, the process of the book itself, it's very similar to going through a sales journey. And even though I knew I've done sales before, I knew I was being sold to, I enjoyed every moment of it because I felt more inspired. I felt more like it's something I could do. As I'm reading, I'm believing more and more that this is something I'm capable of. So the way he's written it is very engaging. And so from that point of view, excellent book to read. Easy to get through, and none of the concepts are particularly difficult. It's all accessible, easy to understand, simple language. Most people should be able to access and understand what's going on without any drama at all. Awesome from that point of view. Okay, so let's get into the nitty-gritty of the book. So, as I was reading through for the video, one of the core concepts that kept coming up through the book was the idea of be, do, have. Now, if you haven't heard this before, it's basically a psychological sequence for how we think. So I found in my early life, and a lot of the people that I've known in life think in a very different way to that. They think in a have, be, do sequence. So for example, when I have $1 million, I can fly around the world and I'll be happy and free. So have the money, do the action, so do the flying, and then be this certain feeling and an emotion inside. Be this certain person. I don't know how often it might have worked for you. If you can resonate with that way of thinking, let me know. How often has that worked for you in the past? For me, not really ever. Even if I achieve what I was setting out to achieve, the feeling at the end is at best a hollow impression of what I thought it would be. It's never the same. It's complicated. That's even if I can get there. Whereas if we flip that progression around, and so if we change it to a be, do, have scenario. So that scenario is asking us to change inside first. That's not as easy as it sounds. Like, simple, okay, yeah, no worries, I can just add some new thoughts. So, okay, I'm happy. Well, it's never that simple. But the way the book goes about delivering this to us I found quite interesting. So on the surface, the book concentrates on the do aspect, concentrates on the action taking steps. So the 6 savers, they're all action taking. So they're all actions that you do to improve your life. But as Hal goes through the book, he's underpinning that with some really solid be concepts. They're going to work on your resilience, your consistency, and your responsibility. They're the things that you need to be in order to be successful at making this process work for you. So that savers model that he talks about is about having specific tasks to do that accrue that create a small effect that accrues over time. And every time you do that in your day, you're having a productive day for yourself. So it's kind of like the story of why you make your bed every morning. So if nothing else is going right in your life and you just want to do one simple thing that you can succeed at for a day, when you wake up, make your bed. Then it's done. First thing, it's done. And when you come back to your bed at the end of the day, even if the whole world's turned to shit on you, your bed is made and you can feel better about getting into a nice fresh bed and having a good night's sleep. So in some ways the miracle morning is just an extension of that kind of a theory. But it's a little bit more detailed, and it's looking at a bigger picture for us than just that. Hal then goes on to talk about one of the limits that we as humans often put on ourselves, and he refers to it as the rear view syndrome. And basically what that is we as humans tend to look back at our past and we look at what we have achieved and what we haven't achieved, and we limit our future based on those past actions. But it doesn't take into consideration what we might have learned, how we might have changed, or anything like that. It puts brakes on our potential. And I'm guilty as anybody of doing it. I do it all the bloody time. It's quite scary. But when I'm conscious of it, we can pull ourselves away from that, and we can open ourselves up to the possibility that we can be more than what we have been in the past. We can dream bigger. We can do what we haven't done before. It's definitely possible for us. Now, my big thing on this, so next he starts to talk about purpose, our why. This is a huge thing for me. As I said previously, I've done this before, and because my why was an externally based why, when that external circumstance stopped being a driver for me, my why completely fell away. My willingness to put in the work fell away. So even though I was getting amazing results, I was feeling fabulous, my reason for doing it dried up, and so did my effort. So getting this right is really, really important. But even more important, so the way Hal goes about this, he goes through and gets you to start exploring what your why might be. And he stresses that you get to create your why. You don't have to think about what it is, as in, why am I here? It's more like your why can be whatever you choose it to be. So if you choose that you want to write a book, if you choose that you want to climb a mountain, if you choose that you want to walk around the world, whatever it might be, that's your choice. And as long as that resonates for you, great. If it resonates a bit, but you think there's a bit left, one of the best bits he suggested, just go with it. Just choose something and go. And if you're stuck choosing something, he's even got suggestions in the book and goes, look, borrow my suggestions. Just take them and start doing now. Start taking action now. Because the doing now is the important part. And to an extent I agree, starting now is important. My one caveat to that would be, keep getting in touch with yourself. So set up a system for yourself where you repeat asking yourself that question. So you ask yourself again, what is my purpose? And you explore that. So you can refine it when you've got new information that's come in from what you've done in your day, your week, your month. Your vision of your purpose may have changed. And so you can start to refine it and clarify it. So even if it's not super clear to start with, if there's enough there that gets you a little bit excited, just go with it. And then keep updating it and keep sharpening the details of that vision, of that why. Yeah, having a why that has real meaning and has a real resonance within you is really important. But if you haven't got it straight away, do the best you can with what you've got and just take action. So I love the way Hal kind of takes away the opportunity for people to get paralyzed by thought and to get stuck in a I don't know scenario, because he's got escape routes for you. He's got suggestions to get you started. But that's all they are. They're starting points, and you can expand on them in your own time, which is cool. Okay, the next main section he talks about is accountability. And basically 95% of people that, it's a crazy idea, 95% of people that read a self-help book are not going to take any action with it. So you can read it and you can have all the concepts in your mind and they sound great, but until you take action, nothing's really changed. You'll probably just beat yourself up more because you haven't taken the action, and so that cycle continues, which is not a helpful cycle. A great way of going about it to initiate that action taking and not be part of that 95% of people that are going to read and not do a damn thing is to get somebody that's in alignment with you that is willing to be an accountability buddy. So, I mean, part of this is just brilliant salesmanship on Hal's part. He talks about basically finding somebody and sharing the information with them, because there's free information on websites and all that sort of stuff, and it'll just, it spreads the word of his book out there, which is, like I said, fantastic salesmanship on his part. But it is also really helpful because working with somebody else and being accountable to somebody else is usually more powerful than trying to be accountable to ourselves. I mean, I'm trying to get accountable to myself, but it's not an easy thing. Being accountable to somebody else is far simpler to, if somebody's going to the gym with their buddy and you're feeling a bit off, you don't want to let your buddy down, so you still go to the gym and you work out together, and they'd do the same for you. It's that kind of buddy system that we're talking about here, and it is really powerful. You've got to find the right people that are really into it, but you can keep encouraging each other. When one of you has a bad day, the other can help out and encourage, and vice versa, and you can bring more than one buddy into the system. You can have a whole group there if you need. Whatever dynamic works for you, go with it, do it. And it makes it more likely that you're going to succeed. And that's really the whole point of this, is Hal's wanting you to take this information and make the changes in your life that you want to make with it. And so finding an accountability buddy does that. But it is also, some mild genius on the side. Okay, the next topic that Hal digs into is urgency. And this one slapped me like a wet fish on the face. It just got straight to the heart of the matter for me. Concept that Hal talks about is a Sunday mindset. So a lot of us, and most of the people I know, the vast majority of people I know have a someday mindset. So I'll get to that someday. I've got plenty of time. I can get to that next week. I can do that tomorrow. I can do that next month. Whatever it might be. I am the guiltiest person of this particular fun time. So the concept of urgency, or the concept of the Sunday mindset, is something that I'm far too familiar with. It has dominated my thought process for most of my adult life. Not as a kid, funnily enough, but as an adult, it's dominated my way of thinking. It doesn't help. You're never going to get your goals achieved if you think you can put everything off to the next day. Doesn't mean you have to do everything in one day, but you have to take action on things. You have to be taking action towards your goals for them to come about. Otherwise, that someday will never happen. And essentially, what Hal is saying is that now matters more than any other time. And there's a good reason for that. you can't change the past, and you can't affect the future that hasn't happened yet, other than to take action in the now. It's the only way. It's the only time we've got. We're only here now. So we can only take action now. So thinking ahead or thinking too far behind doesn't help us. We can't affect either of those options. We can only affect now. That's it. When we think into the future, we've got no idea what's actually going to happen. Because the world will have changed. Circumstances will have changed. So whatever we are projecting to be the future won't necessarily be the future. So don't have an eye to it, plan, sure, but you've got to take the action now. That's all there is to that. This book is all about effectively giving you less sleep. Which sounds pretty shit to me. I love my sleep. And so, when you read it the first time, you're like, oh fuck, he's telling me I can have a better life, but I have to give out even more sleep for it. I feel sleep deprived already. I don't get enough. How the hell is this book going to be of use to me? Well, he goes and talks about ranges of sleep that most people have. He definitely acknowledges that everybody's different. Everybody has different amounts of sleep that are good for them. So he goes through, most common sleep is from sort of 4 hours a night to 9 hours a night, somewhere in there. Uses some statistics to say that more than 9 hours is generally associated with depression and a lot of other ailments and illnesses. So generally not a great place to be from the information that he had. I haven't done the research on that yet, but that sounds like it's more than plausible. So he's kept his research in the 4 to 9 hour band. But instead of going through the literature, he's experimented on himself in a certain way. So Hal had the idea that it's not the amount of sleep that matters, it's the mindset you have going into that sleep that matters. So to that end, he tested himself at different hours of sleep with a different mindset. So he'd be, I'm going to wake up and I'm not going to have had enough sleep, would be the mindset he would put, the concept that he would put in his head before he went to bed. And he'd try it at 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 hours. And each and every time he woke up feeling like he hadn't had enough sleep. He apparently changed his mindset to, I'm going to wake up feeling refreshed and revived, so grateful for the sleep, and did it with 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 hours and felt refreshed and revived every time. Is an advocate that the mindset that you go into before you go to sleep is more important than the amount of time that you actually sleep for. I haven't fully tested this theory out yet. I have been intentionally thinking about how I'm going to wake up for the last few nights, and I've woken up quite well, so that's a good start. But yeah, test this one out for yourself and write in the comments and tell me what you think. It's a pretty cool concept. I'd like to hear if that actually has any benefit for you, just that sleeping thing alone. The last major area that Hal discusses in the book is about habit forming. And this is kind of critical because we're all about trying to create new habits here and let go of old ones. So understanding how habits are formed and how we can prepare ourselves for the steps that are involved in creating these habits is really, really good advice. Hal puts habit creation down to a 30-day process. Now, depending on who you speak to, you're going to have a huge variety in time frames on what people think is required to make habits. For sake of argument, we're going to go with this 30 days and go, okay, cool, we can create a new habit in 30 days. Now, his 30 days, he breaks down into 3 segments of equal length, so each 10 days long. The first section he describes as unbearable. And basically that's the hardest stage. Aside from, say, the first couple of days when you're going to be all like pumped up, you've read the book and you're like all excited and you're ready to go, those first 2 or 3 days are probably fine. And then the reality hits in, and your body and your brain and everything within you is fighting you because it doesn't want to change its habit. The rest of those 10 days can feel unbearable. It is hard work, it's a hard slog, and it's the time when most of us stop. We'll find excuses, things will get sore, or we had to stay up for some reason, or whatever it might be. And within our subconscious, we're finding reasons to not go ahead and create these habits. So it is a really hard time. But if we know that it only lasts for a certain amount of time, in that intensity, that makes getting through it that little bit easier. Again, the analogy would be like going for a run for me, where I'm running and I know that if I've only got a couple of kilometers to go, I can get through it. But if I don't know where the finish line is, I'm probably going to stop running because it hurts too much. So having that knowledge of how long you think, how long it should take to get to the next phase can be quite handy from a mental point of view. It can just give you encouragement to keep going when things are really tough. Next stage is the uncomfortable stage. So days 11 through to 20. Uncomfortable stage is similar to the unbearable, but just far less intensity. So you still need willpower, you still need resilience, but it's not as intense. So if you've got through that first 10 days, you can get through the next 10. It's not going to be easy, there's going to be shitty days, but it's not as bad as the first 10. And the last stage he labels unstoppable. So days 21 to 30. It's labeled unstoppable. And that's the part where this new habit is being switched on in your mind. It's being taken from an outside thing to becoming part of your actual habits. It's where you start associating pleasure with the habit, not pain and frustration. So essentially it is the part where it switches from being a grind to being something that is desirable. So you're creating a habit consciously that you want to create for yourself, and there's pleasure surrounding it, there's joy surrounding it, which is going to keep you using that habit in the longer term. So yeah, I don't know for sure about this 30-day thing, but even having that concept behind and the understanding of the standard psychological processes that most people will go through during, say, your first 30 days is pretty handy to have. So, when your mind is fighting you in those first 10 days, you can just go, it's okay. I know that this time is tough, but I can get through it. And you can grind it out. So that's great. Now, that's most of his core concepts done, but with one real biggie, which I love. So the book is about structure, but structure is not everybody's cup of tea. And one of the best things he does in this book is he encourages people to customize the Miracle Morning for their own needs. So you can change how long each section is. You get to customize what you do in each section. What sort of exercise are you going to do? What sort of silence are you going to do? Are you going to do meditation? Are you going to just sit in silence? Are you going to do what sort of affirmation? Are you going to write your own affirmations? Are you going to borrow them from somebody else? You've got all of this interchangeability, and you can be as creative as you want with it. He encourages you to keep it fun. And I love that. So he puts the responsibility on you to keep it fresh, keep it interesting for yourself, and keep it relevant. But you start off with what he suggested, and then you can make adaptations and changes as you go. But you just keep doing the process as a whole, and you'll get the results. And every couple of months, you might want to switch something up so it doesn't get too boring. You might want to switch up, instead of doing a run, you might want to do yoga. Whatever it might be that you want to switch in there, switch out, you have the power to do it, so do it. Right? And for somebody like me who can't stand too much structure, I feel suffocated when I've got too much structure going on. That ability to take what he's saying and just adapt it to my situation is brilliant. But if you love structure at the same time, you never need to change a thing. You can have that as tight as a drum. Whatever structure you want in there, you can just take what he's got and plant it in and go, boom, done. I don't have to think. Perfect. If that's what works for you, and if you're a person that loves structure and you don't want to get creative about it, you just want to do what you know works, and because it's worked for somebody else, do it. It's there. It's such a free-forming way of going about it. You can be as structured or as open as you want it to be. But the key components are consistency of doing the miracle morning, even if the exact method of that miracle morning changes day by day. I mean, even I don't need that much change, but if that's the way you want to do it, and if you wanted to change one element of it every day or whatever it is, you can. But as long as you're doing the process, then you're on the right track. So the customization is amazing, and it reinforces one of those B concepts that I talked about earlier, which is responsibility. So he's suggesting that you are 100% responsible for how fun and how engaging the process of the miracle morning is, because you get to decide what it is you're doing and how you're doing it. So let's return to our original question. Can this book deliver a miracle? No. In simple terms, no, it's not going to deliver a miracle. But what it's going to do, and what it does really, really well, is it gives you a pathway to creating a you that you want to create. So it may not deliver miracles, but I think it really delivers all the same. Now, in that delivery, it's a really simple concept. Everything that is discussed in the book is pretty darn simple. But that's not to say any of it's easy. So, having been through this process and doing it again now, I know that it's not easy. You've got to push through the mental chatter. You've got to push through aches and pains. You've got to push through uncomfortable moments to get this habit formed. And then to keep it formed, to keep it rolling, you still need to push through. So the process that you're doing to create yourself is a simple one, but it's definitely not an easy one. It takes work, it takes resilience, it takes responsibility, and it takes consistency. So if you bring that into the mix, fair chance that you're going to do really, really well with this book. And if you don't have those things easily that you find are an abundant part of your life, this book can actually help you develop them, which in itself is pretty cool. So whether you feel like you've got it ready to go or you're a deep work in progress, there's something there for everybody in here. And as I said, I've started to redo my miracle mornings. So since I first reread the book in lieu of this video, so it's 3 days ago, I've started doing my miracle mornings. First 2 days were easy. This morning was quite a bit tougher. Had a bit of an issue, had to drop somebody off to hospital, and then for whatever reason my alarm didn't go off, so I still did my intention to get up nice and rested and all that sort of stuff, but my alarm didn't go off. So I got up much later than my 6 a.m. start that I prescribed for myself. So it was a bit off, and then even then when I got up, I didn't get out of bed straight away. I probably laid in bed for like 10 minutes. But once I got up, bam, I went through the process, got it all done. So even though it wasn't perfect, it's done, and I can go, yep, cool, and then get ready for the next day. But even if I hadn't done it, well, I mean, I guess I could choose to do the process now straight after this video, or I can just get back on the horse tomorrow. Whatever works. If you fall down, just get back up. But I'm looking forward to basically doing a quick refresh on this in maybe about 30 or so days. I'm going to keep going through the process and see what practical results it's had on my life. So I'm doing my journaling and all the rest of it, so I'll be able to keep an account of what's been happening and how I've been feeling along the way. And just to experience that process, experience that creation of a new habit, and see how I feel internally from when I started to what I'll be in 30 days. Now, I'm really expecting that I'm going to get through the 30 days, but even if I don't, I'll still report on that, because my failure might be a success for somebody else. They might get some insight from it. And I'm just reporting as it is. That's what I'm here to do. Okay, and so that pretty much wraps up most of what we got to say. I'd like to thank Hal Elrod for writing the book. It's a really great piece of work, and so thank you. You'll find links to the book and his website underneath. They're unaffiliated, so just go there and do what you need to do. If you've got any queries, comments, anything like that, or if you're about to start the journey, or if you've just recently done it and you want to tell me your story of how it was for you, hit me up. I'd love to hear. I want to see how people interact with these things, because the more knowledge I have of that, the more I can share with people. And if we have little ways that we've got around our problem, I can share those, and more people can get more benefit from all of this amazing work that's out there that probably isn't being fully utilised by everybody. And lastly, if you think somebody can benefit from either what's on this recording or from the book itself, share it. Share the book, share the links, share the link to this video, whatever it is, put it out there. The more people we've got that are leading lives that are more in line with who they want to be, the happier the world is going to be, and the more benefit the whole world is going to get out of it. So let's get on that train. Let's make people more engaged in their own lives. And it all starts here. It all starts now. Thank you. I'll see you next time.